What's going on, my friends? Welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're talking about sustainable weight loss, how to track and log your macros for weight loss. Now, I'm going to be using MyFitnessPal to track and log my macros. That is the app I recommend, but what I don't recommend is that you actually figure out what your macronutrient ratios are within the app. I find that it gives you a number that is just too low for what I believe is sustainable. I like to teach principles that allow you to maintain a calorie restriction over a long period of time so that you can actually maintain weight loss and stay that way for good. So I generally recommend a calorie restriction that is not as aggressive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a card at the top of the screen now that's going to teach you how to calculate your macronutrients. And I'm also going to leave a card at the top of the screen here that talks about exactly what to eat for weight loss. Now, if you follow my advice in terms of what kind of calorie deficit and also the kind of foods you can be eating, this is the best way to maintain your calorie restriction, get lean, and stay that way for good without feeling restricted, okay? So make sure you watch those videos. Now, let's get into it. All right, so step one is to download the MyFitnessPal app. Once you've downloaded it, open up the app and go to the bottom right-hand corner and click on More. Now go down to Goals. Now you can fill in this information here, but what I want you to focus on is the calories, carbs, protein, and fat goals, okay? Select that. Now you're gonna enter in your calories per day. Now I'm gonna put a card at the top of the screen now, and that's basically gonna teach you exactly how to calculate how many calories that you need on a daily basis to achieve sustainable weight loss. Okay, I don't recommend that you actually calculate this within the app because it's gonna give you a number that is just too low. It's too aggressive, in my opinion, for sustainable weight loss. So after watching that video, enter in your calories here. Now, in terms of carbohydrate, protein, and fat percentages, you don't need to worry about this too much, but this can be something that helps you out when trying to figure out what you're aiming for on a daily basis. So what I have here, this is pretty much standard ketogenic macronutrient ratios. Now, one constant here that I want you to be paying attention to is your protein consumption. So that should allot for about 25% of your calories per day. So that is going to, in order to figure out how much protein you need on a daily basis, it's going to be roughly 0.8 grams per pound of body weight, okay? And we're talking about someone who either wants to shed body fat or put on muscle. Your goals are going to be a little bit different if you're just trying to, for general health and longevity. So just keep that in mind. And for the fat and carbohydrate, I'm willing to be a little bit more flexible with those numbers, but on most days, I'm trying to hit these macronutrient percentages. I find this is just a great way to lower your body fat. It's not necessarily the macronutrient ratios that you're going to maintain forever, especially if you're a woman. There may be periods of time when you want to increase your carbohydrate consumption. Carbohydrates at night can be really good for helping you sleep. So like I said, you can be a little bit more flexible with the carbohydrates and fats, but keep your protein percentages constant. If you want to just enter them in as I have as a rule of thumb, this is going to be a great starting point. Next. So now that we've entered in our information here, so now you can see at the top, it has my daily calories listed up here. So as I enter the different foods throughout the day, it's going to show me how many calories I have left. And then also what you want to do is just start clicking onto food, and under the nutrients panel, it's going to show you exactly how many protein, carbohydrates, fiber, and fat you've eaten so far in the day, okay? So this is really helpful, especially when you're, okay, so for example, these are actually my macros for the entire day because I'm filming this video at the end of the day. So it says here, based on those macronutrient percentages that I had entered in, it says that I've had 114 grams of protein today, right? And my goal was actually 113. So I hit my macronutrient goal for protein today. Carbs, okay, so I got 69 grams of carbs instead of 45. That's totally fine, okay? Fiber, I got a great amount of fiber. Fat, now I got 121 grams of fat instead of 130. See, that's totally fine. So it says here that I just, a few more of my calories went into the carbohydrates than it did into the fat. But if I go back to my calories, right, I got exactly 1,800 calories today. So I know that I've hit my macros perfectly. Okay, so maybe I'm not in ketosis, but the truth is, guys, as long as you're hitting your macronutrient ratios, as long as you're keeping your protein high and your carbs relatively low, you can even have very small amounts of ketones in your blood and still lose a lot of body fat. So I don't always think that having to be in ketosis is the only way to lose weight, but you know, if you do want to stay very strict to those macronutrient ratios, it is going to have a great effect on body fat loss. And not only that, if you really stick closely to these macronutrient ratios, you're also going to lose a lot of water weight, because when you're eating a diet that is really low in carbohydrates and high in fat, your body just doesn't hold as much water. So that's going to give you a very quick weight loss that you might like, right? Because sometimes when we're holding on to water, that can make us look a little bit heavier than we are. But it also keeps our muscles looking full. So just keep that in mind. But as long as you're hitting your macronutrient ratios, you're fine. You're going to continue losing weight. And as long as you're keeping your protein and your fat high, you're going to be satiated. You're not going to be having massive cravings. Whereas if your fat is too low and your carbohydrates are too high, then you're probably going to start having sugar cravings. Okay? So this is really the best for maintaining satiety, especially keeping the protein high, keeping the cravings low, and really just keeping you feeling satisfied. So let's go back to our calories. So what I'll often do is I will actually fill out my meals at the beginning of the day, right? I'll plan out my meals at the beginning of the day and that matches up with my calories, right? Okay, I'm eating 1,800 calories today. I'm going to enter in my breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snack, right? And then what I'm also, so I'm going to enter that in, but then I'm also going to look over here at my nutrients and my macros, and I'm going to take a look at how I've done with my macros, right? Okay. So just to see if I'm hitting my macros correctly. So, okay, I got a little bit more carbs than I had set. But as I said, that doesn't matter. My proteins, I got enough protein. I got exactly 25% protein, 114 grams. I had lots of fat, 120 grams. And I had, you know, a little bit less fat and a little bit more carbs. No problem. I hit my macronutrient ratios. My fat and my protein are high. I've nailed it today. Okay? So that's really how I do it. And yeah, you can do this on a meal by meal basis, but I find if you just do it at the beginning of the day and you already know what you're eating, you just don't have to think about it. You just go into execution mode. Okay, I know I'm having 3/4 of a cup of almonds for breakfast, right? For lunch, I'm having 2 cups of asparagus, 5 ounces of ground beef, half an avocado. Half an avocado is generally about 63 grams. I'm having 2 teaspoons of ghee, so that's my lunch. Dinner, I had a vegetable stew that had rutabaga and broccoli and chicken bone broth and a bunch of other vegetables, but I just kind of added those in. Vegetables are generally very low calorie. So rutabaga is gonna be the most starchy carb. That's probably why my carbohydrates were a little bit higher, which is totally fine. And yeah, so that's really how I do it. So, oh, and my snack, I had some bone broth protein blended with hot water and almond butter, coconut oil, and cacao powder. So it's all entered in, and you just go through this like this day by day. See, tomorrow it's gonna be empty, so I can actually, I'll do an example for you. Okay, so see at the top, it's at 0. I've got 1,800 calories left, so let's now add my breakfast food. For breakfast. All right, so let's see, almonds. Okay, so when there's regular meals that you're eating, you'll generally, it will start to show up in this list, but probably when you just get started with the app, there won't be a list here. So you'll just have to enter in whatever it is that you're eating. And also, if you're not super familiar with caloric amounts of different foods, sometimes there's inaccurate entries in MyFitnessPal. So if something seems like it's totally off, you can just double check online, type it into Google, compare it to a couple of other sources, and that will generally give you an idea of whether it's accurate or not. But here, so this is coming up, I generally have 3/4 of a cup of almonds for breakfast. So I click on that, right? It tells me the serving size is 1 cup. So I will have, my serving size is 3/4 of 1 cup, right? If you need to change the serving size, if that helps you just enter it in a little bit more easily, maybe you're using a food scale and you'd rather do it in ounces or grams, then you can also select those options, right? Or if it's like a tablespoon. So you just have to set it up with whatever portion size is easiest for you to measure. And then in the top, you press the check mark, right? So there's my breakfast. I had green tea with my breakfast, but I'm not gonna enter that in because it doesn't contain any calories, but you can if you want. For lunch, okay? So say maybe I had chicken. Cooked chicken breasts, 6 ounces. If that's what I had, maybe I only had 4 ounces. So you would do, say the serving size is 3 ounces, number of servings, 1 1/4, okay? And then it tells me right there, 3.8, close enough. 4 ounces of chicken. Maybe I had avocado, 62.5 grams, that's about half an avocado. Chicken, avocado, maybe I had some broccoli. Steamed broccoli, 2 cups, right? Maybe I had some ghee on the broccoli. So 3 teaspoons is 1 tablespoon. So 3 teaspoons is 1 tablespoon. Okay, so 2/3 of a tablespoon is going to be 2 teaspoons. All right, so now I can see, okay, I've had my breakfast and my lunch. I have 737 calories left for the day. So then if I haven't pre-entered it at the beginning of the day, I'm just gonna keep that in mind as I go on. Okay, a snack. Maybe, what did I have for a snack? I can go to my food. So here's another thing, is you can actually enter in your own food. So maybe you have a recipe that you want to enter in, or maybe there's something that you couldn't find in MyFitnessPal, so you can enter it in yourself, right? And sometimes you can even scan it by the barcode, and sometimes that will enter in the ingredients of the food, or you can create it yourself, right? Recipes. You can enter in all the different ingredients, name it yourself, enter in all the different ingredients, and you can figure out what the macronutrient ratios are. So For example, I made these absolutely delicious keto protein bars, right? And I found out after I entered in all the different ingredients that there are about 345 calories per serving. So maybe I had one of those as a snack. And then dinner, I'm like, okay, I've got about 400 calories left. What am I having for dinner? Maybe I'm having some salmon and 3 cups of chard and whatever fat. I love ghee on my chard. And I'm gonna have a tablespoon. Oh, 1 tablespoon of ghee. 26 left. Maybe I'm gonna have some nutritional yeast on top. Nutritional yeast, 2 tablespoons. There's my dinner, okay? 14 calories, this is not a big deal. But as you can see, this is just a great way to keep tabs on how much you're eating, and it's going to really teach you how much energy are in the different kinds of food you're eating. You know, another option, if you don't want to be doing this every day, is you can just calculate this once and then eat the same thing every day. So you're not measuring your food and you're not worrying about this, okay? That is another option. But for me, I just really like to have variety, so this is a great way for me to keep track of it. It's a very predictable way to lose weight, and it's just great. It makes you really mindful about what you're putting in your mouth, and it's just great if you do it at the beginning of the day, because then you don't need to be thinking all the time about what you're eating. Right? And this gets easier as time goes on. You'll find you're eating only not that much variety in ingredients on a weekly basis. So whenever you do a search for the different meals, a lot of the foods that you generally eat are just going to be easily on this list, right? As you continue to use it. So that's going to make this process much quicker and easier. And yeah, here's the thing. I go back and forth between tracking like this. I find I'll track for 2 weeks. I won't track for a couple of weeks, but I find that it really is just a great way to teach me how much energy is in my foods, give me a better idea of how much I should be eating when I'm not tracking. Just helps me eye portion sizes. And this is just an incredible, invaluable tool that can teach you how to lose weight and sustain it for good. So I just wanted to address the question that I often get. Do I need to stay in a calorie-restricted diet forever to stay lean? Well, here's the thing. You could lose the weight and then kind of change your calorie consumption to a maintenance calories, or you can maintain a calorie deficit and then a couple of times a week, once you're lean, you can have a few meals that are completely off of your diet, okay? That's the stage that I'm at now. But in order to get there, you need to be disciplined over a period of time. You need to be disciplined until you're lean. You know, there are some exceptions to that rule. Sometimes people need a refeed meal. Maybe you have metabolic damage. You know, there are some certain situations that are kind of change what the best way for you to move forward is. But in general, you need to stay disciplined over a period of time. You can't just, from the start, if you need to lose 20 pounds, you know, eat in a calorie restriction during the week and then take the weekend off. It just doesn't work like that. You're kidding yourself if you think you're gonna do it like that, unless you are doing some kind of intermittent fasting during the week where you're not eating very much at all. You know, I don't necessarily recommend that, especially for women. But if you are following what I recommend that you maintain a calorie restriction over a period of time until you've reached the weight that you want, and then you start changing things up, like adding in refeed meals on the weekends. You know, maybe it's once a week, maybe it's once every 2 weeks. It really depends on the person. But I just want to let you know that you are going to be able to eat some of maybe the bad food. I don't like to say bad, but the treat foods that you love. You are going to be able to eat those things. You don't have to worry about never being able to eat those kind of treats that you love again if you want to be lean. It's actually not true. but you do have to be disciplined while you are on that journey of getting lean, okay? All right, guys, I hope you found this video on tracking and logging your macros useful on MyFitnessPal. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell because next week I'm going to be releasing a video on exactly what I eat in a day to lose weight and keep my abs 365 days of the year without feeling restricted. Now, in this video, we talked about sustainable weight loss, how to track and log your macros. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel for more natural health and fitness videos. Just want to let you know how much I appreciate you for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye, guys.